So as most of you know, DMT is fucking insane. It can take you to different realms. It can induce out-of-body experiences. It can get you in touch with foreign entities. I even read a trip report recently where a guy watched the future take place, including the whole universe getting destroyed, and then it recreated itself, and that included the Earth. And in fact, it included him, and he literally played out his entire life in real time up until the moment he smoked DMT. And then I guess he just continued with life like normal, except if I imagine it still felt like he was tripping. DMT is fucking insane. But there's a state that's even deeper than all of these. And that's what I want to talk about in this video today. What is the deepest state of DMT? Now, in order to get to this place and to become like completely a part of it, you have to lose every aspect of yourself. So for me, as some of you may know, I went there when these machine elves came up to me, and they literally started sharing information that was so, to me, mind-blowing that it was undoing, I don't know, me. It was just like, it was, to comprehend the information, I had to let go of every aspect of myself. So first I was stripped away of my identity, then my sense, probably my sensory experience after that, then my sense of self altogether, and then it just kept, removing layer after layer of what I am and what my reality is like composed of. So eventually it got to the point where even my perception of time was completely removed. That's what is needed in order to get to this place. Now, there's not a whole bunch that I remember about being in this state of consciousness, but it's extremely similar to near-death experiences. Basically, as all these aspects of myself are removed, eventually I'm taken to a white light. But it's as if this white light is completely inhabited by spirits. And I remember this feeling of, I've just returned to the colony. And I get the sense it's almost like this massive herd or something. And it feels so good to finally join this colony that I am actually inherently a part of. Like, literally felt like I'm coming back home. And this is who I really am. I wasn't me anymore. I was like one of these spirits. I was something else absolutely entirely. And it was just so overwhelmingly beautiful to remember who it wasn't even like remembering who I was, because in this state of consciousness, I just was this thing. So it wasn't like I'd forgotten who I was. Like on the Truman Show effect, I got a taste of this where it was like I remembered, oh, I'm not, Jack, I'm something else. And it was kind of blowing my mind, because I actually still was one foot in that reality and one foot in this one, where I'm still, aware of the reality I'd come from. On DMT, once I had been stripped of everything, it was like, no, I'm this thing. I completely am this thing. It's as if I never forgot, and I'm rejoining the colony now. So everything was completely white. The spirits themselves are very hard to describe, as I'm like buried amongst these featureless white spirits, like ghosts or like Casper the Ghost or something like that, you know what I mean? But even less features. Human, they felt only in the sense that their souls felt, or their presence felt familiar. But in terms of like their features or anything like that, there's nothing I could identify them as. Like they took no particular form. Now, I'm sure some more stuff happened, but all I can remember at that point is I basically like nuzzled up or kind of bunched myself up amongst them, and it was really like this warm, nice feeling of being back home. And then they were all just kind of like, yep, you ready? Like, everyone's here, we're all accounted for, let's do this. And I knew what we were talking about. Basically, we all were just going to dissolve. We're like, yep, let's do it. Let's just let go, let's dissolve, let's stop existing. And that's what we did. Once we're all just like nuzzled up with each other, we just disappeared and dissolved and became absolutely everything. Like, I laugh right now because I'm getting like a flashback, and it just like blows my fucking mind to think about it, because it's just like, honestly, like I'm almost getting teary thinking about it. It's so, oh my God, it's so fucking insanely powerful. Like, you just feel connected with the entire universe, and you can say that in words. And it's like, yeah, I know, it's cool. You feel like you're one with everything. It's like, no, you are not, your perspective, your consciousness is not in a body anymore. It's not in anything. It's the most insanely epic and grandeur, most epic perspective you can take on. And you're there forever, like absolutely ever. As I said, your sense of time has been dissolved, literally there for trillions of billions of, all time. And I could feel it. Like I while I was there, I could feel all of these hundreds of billions of trillions of years pass because I was there for eternity. It's hard to explain. But it wasn't a problem. Like I wasn't me. I was, I guess some people would say you were God or whatever. There's no label for it. You're just like, literally there's no label for it. So I was there forever and it was cool. That's what I really am. And I was happy to be doing that basically. I can't remember everything that was obviously going on in this state of consciousness, but as I'm leaving it, just like religious texts and near-death experiences, I'm literally leaving a tunnel of light and it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but it's not a perfect circle. It's more like it's in the outline of what I knew was a machine elf. I can remember what it looks like. I can't really explain it. It doesn't really matter. When you're in the presence of a machine elf, you just can feel it. They can take different forms, but they feel the same. And that's the thing. The machine elves that I talk about all the time on this channel, I believe that they revolve around this white light, like this everythingness. Like I think that they're a part of it. And in fact, I think the spirits that I was nuzzling up with, before we all dissolved, I believe they are the machine elves. I think they felt the same. In fact, everything I've talked about on this channel, as I was saying before, the Truman Show effect, the DMT doctors, the DMT operating room, they all carry the same energy and even the same message that I felt and received when I was in this deep state of DMT, or like when I was, this white light that was everything in the universe. There's no fear there, nothing negative at all. It's complete truth. That's what it feels like. It's like, this is the truth of your reality. And when you're in your human form, you're in a kind of state of illusion. You can't quite see the complete truth. And that's where fear and that's where suffering and negativity comes from. And that's always kind of the messages that I receive in these different realms on DMT and other psychedelics. That's probably why the DMT doctors are made of white light and the tools that they use are light. I think it all comes back to this. Even you listen to other people's trip reports and they all receive the same sort of messages when they take DMT. Now, I did have a trip later that kind of explained what this white light is. It showed specifically kind of actually what it is from a higher perspective. So after this experience, I later had a trip with Lyrica and weed. And I can't say I advocate the use of, Lyrica or any other prescription meds for tripping or for any reason that's kind of recreational or whatever. But that's where I was at, early days of, using psychedelics and stuff. I just wanted to explore different states of consciousness. And I was hungry to achieve different states. And, as long as it was more or less safe, I was going to do it if I could. And so, yeah, basically I meditated on weed and Lyrica and had this incredible trip. As probably a lot of you will know, meditation on psychedelics just makes it a whole different thing, even weed. And so in this trip, I was just kind of told just outright what the, or who the machine elves are, why we experience the Truman Show effect, and, what the DMT white light is. Basically, it was shown to be a single consciousness that inhabited many different forms or many different vessels. I remember seeing a entity of some kind plugged into this, I guess, technology. It was just super advanced technology, if it was technology, and its consciousness was being shot through this machine or whatever it was. And then I could see these lenses, these different slices of circular glass would kind of come in the way of the beam of white light. And as the white light beam was shot through these lenses, it filtered itself into different forms and different people. And each one of these lenses basically represented a different life or a different moment in time. It seemed like these lives weren't necessarily, just people or animals or aliens in this universe, like the physical universe that we know. It seemed like they could belong to parallel lives and universes, or even the multiverse itself. It was definitely full on. But I'm not saying that this is necessarily my philosophy, because even this experience, I find it hard to believe that ultimate reality abides by something that we can kind of comprehend, like an entity plugged into some sort of matrix system, and then the consciousness is channeled into, you know, different entities and stuff. Sounds very much like a simulation, sounds like something we can understand. I do somewhat subscribe to the theory that these psychedelic experiences often translate very hard to understand concepts, like we're getting in touch with new information, wherever that comes from, new parts of the brain or wherever. We get in touch with this information, but we have to translate it. We have to be able to make sense of it. And so we use, you know, concepts that we are familiar with, like some sort of matrix simulation system, and, you know, a person plugged into a machinery or being plugged into machinery uses these very relatable concepts to kind of translate some sort of higher truth or something like that. But if this is a version of the truth, then it would make me understand why we get this sense of being home when we go there, because it's kind of like you're getting back in touch with your source consciousness, like who you, like the origin of you, and you're getting pulled out of a life that you just, or somebody that you're just pretending to be, if that makes sense. And I know how crazy all of this sounds, guys. Like, I'm sure a lot of you would be on board with this, and a lot of you maybe, you know, are probably where I was before having these sort of experiences, completely skeptical and completely like, this just is batshit crazy, and how could you even believe any of this for a second? But I think there's something to the fact that when we get in touch with these states of being, they affect us profoundly afterwards, and they influence our lives. And I was not on a good path before I had these sort of experiences. It was kind of as if I had to find psychedelics and you know, I had to have these sort of experiences to put me back on the right path. And it was getting in touch with this white light consciousness that really was the cherry on top of a few pivotal trips in my life that kind of steered me in a whole new direction and a whole new way of living, and changed the way I see things. It gave me empathy, pretty much. Like I was an extremely different person before tripping, and I can say that it is because of tripping that I have become a good person. And I could definitely say I was probably a bad person beforehand. And I think there's something to that. You know, if you were just having chaotic, crazy experiences that have no, you know, aren't in touch with any kind of truth whatsoever, how do we come out of that healed? How do we come out of that with some sort of practical message that influences us and changes our lives for the better? Because it's not that just happening to me, it's happening to everybody who goes to these places. It's just happening to everybody who goes there. You know, I get how crazy it sounds when we all have a different version of what these experiences mean. You know, some people will be like, I got in touch with my higher self. I got in touch with a higher dimensional version of myself, for example, or I was talking to extraterrestrial beings who were telling me how or whether I should stay in uni or not. Like, of course it sounds crazy on the outside, but at the root of these experiences is some truth. And I believe the truth is this white light, the fact that we are everybody and everything in the universe. We're all one. And I think that's how we should kind of live our lives a little bit, treating others as if we are that person as well, as if we maybe are not just one day experiencing what they're going to go through, but are currently experiencing what they're going through. You know, it's, for me, totally increased my empathy to like just a whole nother level. And I think that's given me so much happiness, because when you live for others, you kind of, instead of living for yourself, you live life with a little bit more gratitude. And instead of saying, I need this for me to make myself better, instead your mentality is, I have what I need, and now because my cup's full, let me help fill the cup of others, you know, sort of thing. I sound pretentious as, and I'm sure I'm ranting, but you know what I mean? Like, it's these sort of experiences just change us for the better. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video a little bit. If you did, if you'd be so kind to like the video, I would be grateful for that. Even subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, because I'm always trying to talk about what interests me when it comes to psychedelic experiences. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys very shortly. I am trying my best to create content frequently, but of course I'm also uploading TikTok videos now, and at a pretty frequent rate, at least for me. So yeah, I'll keep trying to do YouTube videos, but follow me on TikTok as well if you want more frequent and constant updates. And yeah, otherwise, guys, big shout out to all my patrons. You guys, freaking bosses. You know I love you. Hope you have a freaking great day. See you all soon. Peace.